as a part of his criminal defense team. And so I think it is important for the lawyers who are looking at that affidavit to look at it and then make their considered judgment as to whether it tells the true story. In my opinion, as I've said publicly, the warrant itself is really not where the meat is. Where the meat is the affidavits that underlie the warrant. That is what the FBI told the magistrate judge in order to get this warrant. And there may have been more than one affidavit. And so it is unclear to me that the DOJ is offering to unseal those. They don't usually unseal those until there's an indictment. And I think if the warrant tells an incomplete story, it may not be to the advantage of the Trump team to unseal it at this time. The whole story needs to be told. And I think that the DOJ, as you said in your intro, Brian, is really stumbling. They're playing defense. They're trying to do this the opposite way that it should be. In the Southern District of Florida, the normal procedure, as I understand from criminal defense attorneys who practice there, is that this conversation is supposed to be had between the prosecution and the target of the subpoena in advance, and then you go to the judge and ask the judge after that discussion is had. Here, they flipped that order. They just went into court without having that conversation first, and the judge has ordered them to have that conversation. So without seeing it, I can't really say, but I do know that it seems like they're not telling the full story here.
What brought us to this moment, and just to qualify it, Newsweek has this story that Merrick Garland didn't sign off on this. They did it without his knowledge or without his blessing, didn't know exactly when it was going to happen. Next thing you know, we hear about a press conference, and Harmeet, they're late. They're late to give, what, a 7-minute address without taking questions? What's the delay? You could have ad-libbed, you or I could have ad-libbed this in our sleep. What is going on behind the scenes?
It looked like a hostage video to me, Brian. Yeah. It was really bizarre. And frankly, even earlier today, you saw all of the allies of the administration, Sheldon Whitehouse, come out and say, oh, of course, this kind of thing would have been well below the scope of Merrick Garland. That's obviously nonsense. When you're raiding a former president's home, which is unprecedented, it had to come from the top. It did come from the top. And I think that the DOJ is in damage control mode here because when I first saw this news, I said, this has to be about something else. It can't be about presidential records because it is frankly ludicrous to go to this type of, extreme tactics over some 18-month-old stale documents that who cares? This librarian, head librarian of the National Archives is up in arms. He's upset that his documents aren't there. Where is his upset about Obama's 30 million pages of documents? Where is his upset about how Hillary Clinton treated classified documents on her server? This is a ridiculous premise for an FBI SWAT team of 30 FBI agents to go through for 9 hours. It just doesn't add up. And so I still think that's what's happening here, is that this raid was a pretext for a fishing expedition that has come up empty. And now they're trying to craft a different narrative to explain their outrageous behavior and their undermining of trust of the American people.
I don't think anyone has to tell any viewer that President Trump hasn't been playing a perfect game, but I really challenge anyone who says he hasn't had a really good week. On Monday, this egregious activity, barring this doesn't go a different direction, which I don't think it is, especially after speaking to so many people on his team and hearing them worried about things in the past, but not this. Then you think about the Southern District of New York and their, 3-year investigation that produced nothing, and then they meet with the AG and his company's going exceedingly well. This might be one of the best weeks for Donald Trump, who suddenly has, not only did he do perfect on the primary this week, but now he seems to have most of the party lining up behind him. Your final thought?
Well, look, it might be a good thing politically, but I think it's a bad thing for the country to see the American Department of Justice and FBI act in this outrageous manner. Every American should be afraid that they can do this to you as well. And that is not a good place for this country to be. They need to stop.
True. And I get worried that the IRS is muscling up and they're going to have the same tactics. Harmeet, thanks so much. Appreciate it.